YouTube and Twitch streams are now live. I'm just going to get things set up here on my side, and we'll go ahead and get started. As I was saying, we've got a nice set tonight of 17 photos. I'm really pleased with how we interpreted this challenge, and it was a more challenging special topic. But you're going to love what you see tonight. All right, I'm going to share my screen. The live streams are active. Now for tonight's slideshow, I did not randomize the slides, so we'll hear from the maker for all of their submissions. There we go. If you're following along with me on Zoom, you should see my screen. And it looks like our YouTube streams are running. Let's start tonight with a set by Steve. The title of Steve's first stereo photo is SF Rally. Oh, before we start, let me just remind everyone what the subject is tonight. Sorry, Steve, to step on you. Tonight's subject is mergers. And as we're defining this, we're using stereo to exploit stereophotography's ability to separate objects in Z space. And I think these are all great examples. If you look at any of these with just one eye or as a 2D image, what you'll see is sort of a mess. Stereo in these images really brings out the detail and shapes the subject. Steve, right now we have SF Rally up. Why don't you tell us about this? Oh, Steve, you're muted.
Okay.
Yes. Welcome.
Hello. Yes, this is a weird one to start with because I was originally going to submit it out of competition just because it's contemporary. It's only a few days old. I was at the Hands Off Rally in San Francisco and did take a lot of 3D pictures. This is just a good one that had a lot of separation. I was going to submit it out of competition, but then I looked at it and said, it's kind of a dull picture without the 3D. So I figured I'd just let it play. I think the other ones are much more of the, as I interpret it, they don't look like anything unless it's in 3D. And certainly you can see what's going on, but it's certainly much more interesting in 3D. So, I'd say the rallies across the world, around the world, were a big success. I keep looking for somebody to tally it up. I hear about like 200,000 in Los Angeles. I don't know how many in San Francisco, probably half that. But I haven't heard anyone say a total. I did see something 3.5 million, but it wasn't a very authoritarian. It's just something. It could have been as much as.
The numbers are always just guesswork anyway.
Yeah, it is.
But I was thinking about this because I submitted one very much like this recently too, and I think here's a proposition. What if at least during this time of protests and stuff, we just allow people to submit images just to show, not to be scored or judged or whatever, but have a protest images that we can sort of see as the news unfolds.
Yeah,
And you can also submit for regular competition too, but I'm just thinking out of band, maybe it might be nice to be able to submit our record images.
Yeah, absolutely. We do that. We call them workshops. We wouldn't call this a workshop, but yeah, some photos to show before the photos that we vote on. That's something we can definitely accommodate. And you can upload those for any meeting on the website and just put a comment in the note on the upload page that it's intended for outside of the poll, not for competition, and I'll set it up at the beginning of the meeting.
Yeah, which is what I had said I was thinking about doing with this one anyway. But yeah, because there is a place to write a note for your picture. So that seems like that would be the place out of competition. Just so you can say, well, I guess, Matt, it'll be up to you to figure out if it will be one of your four or if you can add it to your four.
Well, I think
Probably
it's up
one
to the
of
maker
four.
how they want
Sorry?
it to be shown, if they want it in or out of competition.
So you can upload your regular four, and then immediately after that upload one or more record shots like this.
Yeah, you can,
And
and
just
you can
add a
specify
note.
in the note. You could
We
even specify in the file name if you wanted.
we should have some kind of limit on it, though.
I'm sorry, say that again, Steve. You're a little far from your microphone. I'm having
Oh yeah,
trouble hearing you.
we should have some kind of limit on it, though.
Oh, sure. Well, if that becomes an issue, I'll come up with a solution for it, but I don't want anyone to feel like they're limited in the photos they can share. I won't let it dominate the whole meeting, of course. But at this point, I don't think we have to worry too much about setting a limit for that. Because I trust that everyone will share, only the best or the most meaningful photos out of their shoot. If it's a protest shoot, just as they would for any other division with the GGSS.
And I'm assuming any of these out of band images wouldn't be critiqued like we do the regular images, so they're not going to take a lot of time. It's just sort of a slideshow.
Yeah, with these sort of workshop type things, we'll just leave it to the maker to speak and explain what we're seeing, and if the maker wants to solicit any feedback, that's fine. It's probably not going to be critiquing the photography so much as just talking about the subject and its meaning to the viewer and to the maker.
Yeah, that was my point. Thanks.
I'm in total agreement with that. So yeah, I'm actually excited to hear this idea. Go ahead and submit them on top of your regular four or instead of your regular four, and I'll accommodate them.
Right, I don't have too much to say about this one.
Okay.
I mean, I took it in Affinity and darkened some of the highlights. I mean, they're still pretty hot, but it was a very, very sunny day. I couldn't believe how hot it got in San Francisco. But just a warm day. A lot of people there. A lot of 98.6s.
Well, I think it definitely fits tonight's subject. Also, I mean, as you said, you can see what the photo is in 2D, what the subject is. But to me, the stereo version emphasizes the vast size of this protest, being able to see how far back people are, in addition to just kind of counting heads.
Yeah.
Very nice. Thank you, Steve. And I look forward to sharing everyone's protest photos at future meetings.
Yeah.
This next photo is also by Steve. If you're following along on our YouTube or Twitch streams, there'll be a 15 or 20-second delay. The title of this is Starburst.
So it is really a star field. This is a photograph of an um, immersive event, or can't find the right word, but yeah, it was called Fantasy Lab in Las Vegas, and it's called Colors of Mexico. And my wife and I both really, really loved it. It was actually free. Most of these immersive things cost in the neighborhood of $35. Uh, they had a Disney one I was interested in, but just didn't, the timing didn't work. So I think the first room you go into has a bunch of strings with lights on them. You sit in a little chair, it goes all the way around the room, and you just look at these lights. And it was a little dark for my W3. I tried to hold it as still as I could. And this is actually two pictures of two different times. The different lights, they kind of blink on and off, and there's rows of them. They go back in space. And it was just because it was too dark for the camera to pick everything up, the different colors. So I brightened it, and then I overlaid it with I think I used it in the merge, in the layers. I used lighten, which has a similar effect to double exposure. So you can see both images. It's a little tricky doing, cropping and repositioning and everything in on two images, but I think it fills the assignment. And hopefully you can see. Oh, I did take one of the little lights and make it larger so there would be something to focus on. So there's one that's about 5 times larger than any of the others, and that's just one of the lights cut out and pasted and enlarged. And that's Fantasy Lab, Colors of Mexico, in the Fashion Mall on the Strip in Las Vegas. And I have another picture from the same facility.
Well, it does look like a starburst. And I guess this was in a dark room, a dark space. Is this part of like a broader experience?
Yes, there's a bunch of rooms. I'll show you actually the last, this is the first room, and then I'll show you the last room of about 6. They had like Day of the Dead figures and animals, sculptures of animals. And one really, really cool room, they had mirrors on the wall, on 3 of the walls. And on the 4th wall, they projected kaleidoscopic patterns. But there's no depth in any of that. So it's a phenomenal experience when you're there, but it didn't make for an interesting 3D picture.
Got it.
The others, the animals I got some good 3D pictures, but everything, this day glow, so everything was very dark. The Day of the Dead stuff, too dark for me. I mean, if I had a tripod, I think I could have gotten a good picture, but I don't usually carry a tripod around with me. I might. I bought a little portable one at Amazon, but I don't always take it with me.
All right. Well, this certainly fits the bill. It's very abstract also. If you hadn't told me how you made it, I would have assumed, well, maybe not a starburst or a star field, but it sort of looks like embers from a fire. Very nice. Thank you, Steve.
All right.
Steve's third image. Oh, and by the way, welcome Brian and welcome Roberto. Saw you come in.
Thank you. Hello. How are you?
Hello.
Yeah, I snuck in
Yeah.
just for, I can only stay for a little bit, but decided
Sure.
to check it out.
Well, glad you dropped by. Brian, we'll show your fantastic photos at next month's meeting. And Roberto, we'll talk about your video after the slideshow. But until then, let's get back to Steve and his third photo for tonight. This is the mergers theme. The the title rather, is Tribute to Mexico.
Yes, so this is in the same facility. It's the last, or really the next to the last room has a bunch of these plexiglass panels with statements in Spanish, words in Spanish, and just it's kind of like a hall of mirrors effect. You can walk around. They're kind of lit up from the edge. So it's the same facility, the Fantasy Lab. So if you find yourself in Vegas and want to do something fun for free, I highly recommend it. And yeah, it's a little hard to tell what's going on in 2D. I think you get a much better sense in 3D.
Yeah, you definitely miss all these layers without the stereo. Did you intend for the panel in the foreground, the one that says nachos, for that to be in front of the window?
I guess I have to say no.
Say yes. Just say yes. If, you know.
Yes, that was entirely intentional. I thought it was an artistic choice.
I would argue it's pretty effective, especially on my loom pad. The sort of the line art nature, it's not too difficult for me, at least, to perceive.
Yeah, it's good to hear how these things look either on a TV or a loom pad, because I know they are different. They have different effects, and I pretty much only look at it with these mirror glasses, just because it's so much easier for me, and I get the full 3D effect and don't have to go through a lot of mechanizations to put it onto my TV.
Yeah, I like it. It's a lot like Matt's bus stop image from last time.
Okay.
Just all the layers of transparency. It's nice.
Yeah, it seemed. When I took this, I was thinking about this particular competition.
Very appropriate.
Yeah, I wish I could find more locations like this with all of these transparent layers. They're such a great subject, but there aren't very many places like this, or really even reason for there to be places like this, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not exactly sure. It was made to order for this,
Right.
but it's also just kind of fun, and it's I guess a way to sell people on Mexico. I mean, they're really playing up the culture, and there is a Mexican restaurant in the same facility, so we were so happy with the thing. We went ahead and ate there.
What hotel was this?
It's not in a hotel. It's in the Fashion Mall, which is near the Venetian.
Got it.
Actually, on the other side of the strip of Las Vegas Boulevard. So right in that vicinity. I think it's called the fashion show mall. It's
Got
definitely
it.
inside a mall.
Yeah, I think
And
you
yeah, if
found
you've
a
never
great
been to
location here.
Vegas, the maps can be very deceptive because I remember looking at something and say, "Oh, it's only 3 blocks away," and it was like a mile and a half because everything is so huge. Well, you remember from the last time I had a picture of the Sphere and the Ferris wheel and the all the hotels. Actually, that Ferris wheel, similar to the London Eye, we rode it a long time ago, not this trip. I rode it with my kids, and it was very underwhelming because it only got as high as the hotels in the vicinity because they're so huge. They're just enormous, unbelievable. I mean, if you're coming from another country, you should see a call. I guess people won't be coming from other countries till something changes.
It's a town to look at night when everything is lit up and you don't see really how isolated and bleak things actually are around you.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty to do during the day. Um, there's a lot of great stuff. Okay, good. I'm glad you moved on to the next picture.
Thank you, Steve.
I've shown this one
I didn't want
before.
to stop you or anything, but
No,
um,
I appreciate it. I think sometimes we all just get lost in our thoughts and we need to move on.
sure.
This is from a science fiction convention, or I think it was a fan convention. And when I took this picture, I just thought, oh, it'll be cool. The guns will be pointing at you. And then I looked at it, and it was just a mishmash. You couldn't really tell what was going on. I mean, the scales are all weird because it's mostly toys. But then, of course, when you see it in 3D, I mean, I suppose the best way to look at this is to see the 2D version and then suddenly reveal the depth, because then suddenly all these weapons are pointed at you, and also you can make out the Star Wars figures. Of course, Darth Vader's way too big for that walker.
Yeah, this
So, and
is
I remember when I showed this one, we weren't having that competition, but I had said, "Oh, this would be good for that." I don't even remember what you called it, but the one where it only looks good in 3D.
yeah, I do recall seeing this or a similar shot before, but this is the perfect special subject for this photo. It really is
Yeah,
hard to perceive what everything is, and there's so many objects in the frame that are not easily distinguishable because of their scale, or their, these are sort of abstract shapes too. I mean, this AT-AT, if you don't know what it is, you're not going to recognize that form.
yeah, it was the same picture. And I think stuff like this also points up an issue with filmmaking, because there's stuff that would read perfectly well in 3D, especially cutting, because film editing and film transitions like fades, you sort of have to take a different approach when you're making a 3D film. But the filmmakers can't, because they have to be shown both ways. So that's an issue. And I may remember when I saw The Wizard of Oz for the first time, and they at one point they say, "Well, that's a horse of a different color you've heard tell about," and I didn't know what they were talking about because I was watching in black and white.
Steve, I missed that last part. I missed the title of the movie you're talking about.
Oh, The Wizard of
Wizard of
Oz.
Oz, of course, going from black and white to color.
Yeah, that's so saying. Well, you would never make The Wizard of Oz that way, knowing that some people would see it. Because when they made The Wizard of Oz, they didn't have television, or it was in the experimental stage.
Well,
And
Steve,
um,
when I was in I didn't know Wizard of Oz was in color until I saw it when I was in college.
I can remember a story. I'll do this real quick because we've already gotten through 4. We didn't have a color TV, but we had some friends that did, and they invited us over. And we came to their house. I guess we were running a little bit late. And the woman's face, the homeowner's face, was so long and sad. And she said, "I'm so sorry, they're not showing it in color." And I thought they had made some announcement or something. And I thought for a minute, I went, "Oh, no, 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 no." Because I already knew, I think I'd seen it in the theater. I said, "No, no, no. The beginning's in black and white. That switches to color. We're okay." She didn't know either. I guess it was time for her to watch the whole film.
It put a lot of people into color shock too. It was a bit of a medical anomaly too.
Color shock?
Color shock. Yeah, a sudden burst of red color. I guess it's a form of epilepsy.
Really?
Oh.
I guess it was just more intense than they had experienced in real life.
Yeah, I guess it was a lot to process for a lot of people.
Probably just overwhelmed the senses.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people had the sense that this is the first time anybody had seen color. Like she opens the door and suddenly you have Technicolor. But of course, people had seen, almost everybody went to see Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, which preceded Wizard of Oz by 2 years. And of course, Warner Brothers had made the Adventures of Robin Hood, I think the same year as Snow White. So there had been plenty of Technicolor films, and all of Disney's Silly Symphonies were in color from 1935 on. So, and they were awash in brilliant color. So I think most people had already seen color Technicolor by that time.
What color photos?
And color photos too. Although I don't know color photos. I haven't really studied that. Of course, I'd seen some color photos from the turn of the century, where they just have a black and white camera and put color filters over it and figure out some way to process it, similar to the way you make a silk screen.
Well, we can be sure that most people had seen stereo at that point, maybe not color stereo, but certainly stereo cards, maybe hand-tinted stereo cards. I don't think there were very many 3D motion pictures yet outside of experimentation, but it was high-tech at the time.
I think Matthew Brady took some Civil War pictures in 3D.
You may be right. You may be right. All right. Thank you, Steve. Bob, if you're with us, I've got 2 by you that are coming up next. And I think I might have,
here.
Hey, welcome. I might have put these out of order.
Well, it's the same shot, basically. Just I wanted to see it in color and black and white.
Okay, good. I was going to lead with the color version. These are excellent examples of mergers in stereo. But tell us about Larkspur Ferry Terminal, black and white in this case.
Nothing really to tell. I was waiting for the ferry to go over to San Francisco. And this was above me. And I just loved the design. Took a cha-cha with my iPhone.
Nice. Yeah, it's really nicely balanced, too.
If you see the color version, there was something that concerned me a bit, so I thought the black and white worked better, and I also took out a lot of that heavy black in the lower left for the black and white version. I mean, I do like the color of the roof on this with the blue sky, but it was more work than I wanted to do at the time to get rid of the black
Well, we've got the color version up now. We can
Yeah.
go back and forth if you like. I'm curious to know what your process is for making a black and white photo. Which tool you use, and if you have any tips.
I
any
know there are
strategies.
great tools in Lightroom. Basically, I just took this and I think I brought it into Camera Raw, the Camera Raw filter in Photoshop, and just selected black and white, and then I may have done some contrast on it.
Yeah, it looks like the black and white version has higher contrast. I like that anyway.
Yeah, I could see more with that,
Yeah.
more contrast on the black and white. But I particularly like that spear the juncture where those beams come together in that pyramid shape. I like that a lot.
In the black and white version, or at least the one you showed first, I couldn't tell we were looking up. I thought we were looking, horizontally at some structure.
Uh-huh.
Of course, I can see it now in the color version that it's we're looking up at a canopy covering this. But yeah, I mean I'd say the black and white one fulfills the assignment better than the color version.
Yeah, I thought so too.
And lightening up that black object, that rectangle in the lower left-hand corner, makes a big difference too. My eye kind of gets stuck on it in the color version.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
It's quite a busy area. I thought about cloning and cutting and pasting, but it was just a lot more than I wanted to invest in this one, given all of the cables and things in that area that would have had to have been adjusted.
I mean, you can also just crop out that whole left edge.
Yeah, but then you lose. I'd have to crop up to get rid of that. If you crop out the whole left edge, I think the composition is off, because I want the focal point to be that triangle where all of the struts meet.
Bob, did you try content aware?
Yeah, it doesn't. With all of the busyness that's going on there, it tries to make up its own little structure.
Yeah, I don't think
As I said, I didn't spend a lot of time on it. I could have done, I'm sure, content aware, where you can even give it instructions and tell it to fill it in. But no, I could spend
at the very least, you could cut out the piece right on top of it, shrink it a little bit, and move it down, and that would probably fit the bill.
Yeah, I started trying it, like the area on the very right bottom corner. I thought, well, I could cut and paste that, flip it, do some skewing on it, and actually fill in. But to mask off an exact area without cutting into those beams was a little more work than I wanted to do.
You could also use one of Matt's gray boxes. You just put a gray rectangle there.
Yeah, right.
Adjust the depth to be, appropriately deep, and nobody notices it. It's the funniest thing.
Yeah, so long as you've positioned it somewhere in Z space so that it's not just at the window. If it's at the window, it's pretty obvious you're trying to cover something up. But if you set it back behind the window, it just becomes part of the composition, and it sort of becomes invisible, even though it's right there. It's actually, that'd be a great subject for a mergers photo such as this one. Things that not in this case, I think the stereo reveals more details about this composition, but with this technique that I use of just masking things, it actually hides details.
Well, this, if I wanted to work on it, the black box there is pretty much at infinity. So I could go in there and clone. I'd probably go in and clone the left image and just get rid of the box entirely and then just cut and paste over to the right.
Yeah, well, one trick that I don't know if this is it solves any of the problems you're having, but if you're just trying to replace where the black shape is, then you have to match the stuff that's to the right of it.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the tricks that I've used is to get rid of everything up to, the high contrast strut.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to do.
Yeah, okay. I figured that's other people had come up to the same conclusion. But when I first try to fix these things, I just try to fix, the part in the black area, and then I go, wait a minute, nobody can tell that I've replaced this other part.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of, that's like a Harryhausen technique. So you don't see the ground, you don't see where the ground shifts. You have to move it somewhere where it's not noticeable.
Mm-hmm.
This one might also be a fun subject for a mirroring effect. I don't know if you tried that, Bob, but just not to fix or hide anything, but just as a good subject matter for the technique.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Bob. Yeah, I think this works great as a record for what it is too. I wouldn't spend much more time on it myself. It's very nice. Oleg, hope you're with us. We've got 4 by You coming up next. The title of the first photo is Ancient 3D Equipment in My Living Room.
Yeah, I like the way the sun when it goes through the I just like the way it looked.
Yeah.
So I recorded it.
You can see those.
Yeah, the light is beautiful. I'm curious about the pictures. I think those are all lenticular, right? But I can't see any depth in them.
There, you need the red and green glasses.
Oh, the red and green. But you've got some lenticular too, right?
No, I don't think I ever did lenticular.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
So Oleg, your problem is that you're too good a photographer, and you always make a great looking composition. So these look great in 3D, but they also look great 2D.
Well,
you failed.
the mess in the center. The reason I like the composition too, but the mess I chose this one because the mess in the middle kind of ruins it.
I am looking at the 3D version on my Loom pad while wearing Anaglyph glasses, and I can see depth in the pictures on the easel in the stereo composition, so it works.
Cool.
Yeah. Oleg, I think I recall you displaying these at a 3D con many years ago.
Yes.
I don't recall how long ago that was. 10 years ago, maybe, something like that. I think it was in Southern California. Or maybe no. Well, I don't remember where it was. It was that long ago.
Matt, do you think you can zoom in on those anaglyphs?
Sure. I'm zooming in. I'll zoom in on all of the streams a bit.
We don't need to see both pictures, do we? And they'll both be in. Oh, yeah, I can see it.
All of those, that thing in the center is for Darren. They're taken. They're medium format, and I love the detail Uh,
I think I remember you submitting some of these pictures.
Yeah, I know. I recall years ago you brought in. It was probably this medium format viewer that we're seeing in this photo. That would have,
exactly, it is.
yeah, that would have been at an Oakland Camera Club meeting, and yeah, those photos are of such high resolution. It's almost like virtual reality. It really is an enhanced stereo experience.
By the way, in the background there is a 4x5 enlarger. I was thinking, uh, uh, well, I lost my train of thought.
The enlarger is the device in the corner behind the
It,
images.
yes, I think it cost $2,000, and that's when $2,000 was a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I didn't do many pictures with it because 3D came along and I wasn't doing those kind of pictures anymore.
So now
I
it's
think
a decorative item.
Yeah, that whole thing is obsolete equipment.
I think I mentioned, or maybe I just sent an email to the group, but I also have a 4x5 view camera. If anybody is interested, I know there are people that are still doing film stuff, but I haven't been able to sell it. So if anybody else would like it, just let me know.
I wish I could take it. I wish I had the time and the space for it. It's a beautiful looking camera. It looks like the camera that Ansel Adams photographed Yosemite with.
He also did some like 8.5 by 11 or something like that. Some large ones too, but he also did plenty of 4x5s.
Yeah. Not obsolete. Not commonly used, but not obsolete.
No, but it's a lot of work and a lot of expense.
Yes.
And the film, I think, is getting very difficult to get.
Well, thank you, Oleg, for your quote-unquote ancient 3D equipment. The thing about this ancient 3D equipment is that it all still works. The medium format viewer, I'm sure, still works. The anaglyphs still work. You don't need a software update. You don't need to recharge them. They're ancient, but they're also modern. And that's a unique quality of stereo. You can view a stereo card in a 150-year-old home stereoscope, and if the lenses are intact and clean, it'll work as well as it did the day it was made. All right, but that's enough from me. Let's hear from Oleg about his second photo for tonight, Fence at Shipyard, north of Brazos, California.
Yeah, this is it's almost impossible to see the fence in the foreground because it's kind of an exercise just to concentrate it enough to be able to see the fence as something flat.
I think a lot of people that got into stereo, their first experience was a chain link fence that they were fusing at the wrong distance, and tried to puzzle out what was going on. I think this one does that particularly because the stuff in the middle ground of the boat are right around the same depth as an incorrect fusing of the fence. So your eye can sort of naturally jump to the wrong distance, and then it's out of whack with the rest of the fence. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, well, you get the same effect if you're there, just stand in front of it. But I think the detail is much better when you see it. So it's not as uncomfortable as in a picture.
There's an interesting phenomenon where there's sort of on the far left, there's a kind of a blue tripod, and just to the right of that is a lighter part of the fence. And when I first looked at the picture, it looked like there was a tiny little sliver of fence in front of the fence, the green fence. But then when I locked my eyes on the post and then scanned over, I really had to work at it. But then I could see, oh yeah, that's just a discoloration on the same fence. But boy, the effect is pretty pronounced. This fence really wants to move to a different place in space.
Well, it's because the white stuff is so narrow that there's only one way for it to make sense.
Right, but you'd think that
there's no ambiguity.
You think the green part would just follow along, but the green part, in my eyes, in my brain, wants to move behind it.
Right. So I think what happens is you start looking at the ship, and then you notice the fence in front of it. You start following the fence, and suddenly there's this white thing that's completely in front of what you think of as where the fence is.
The way I see it, the way it should be, you have to concentrate on the vertical post of the fence and the horizontal member. If you really concentrate on that, then you're going to see the fence.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what I did. I looked at the vertical post and then followed the horizontal part over, and then I could make sense out of it. Yeah, this is a really good example. It's great to study this phenomenon. Yeah, I think Melinda is right that I did early on look at like picket fences and things where there was a repetition and say, hey, that can move to a different place in space.
And I think what's making it so powerful is the depth of the boat. The boat on the right doesn't seem to do that because if you're looking at the blue boat, then the fence is not at the right sort of distance to make you to fool you into fusing it incorrectly. But when you look at the ship on the left, it's the depth is just right to sort of grab your attention with an incorrect fusion of the fence. So like if you look at the beam on the ground, that sort of orange end of it, it looks like the fence is right there at that depth. And it's just sort of a happy accident.
Yeah, this really
like
is the perfect
It doesn't work with the guy in the background. You look at the guy in the white, and the fence in front of him doesn't. There's no natural part of it to jump to. So it's not as deceptive as the part on the right. Or the part on the left, sorry.
Yeah, I think this one might be difficult for a first-time stereo enthusiast to perceive without some work. It might take a while for this one to kind of pop into form. It's challenging. Very nice, Oleg. Thank you. We have a third one by Oleg for tonight's mergers subject. The title is Spring Arrives at My Backyard.
Yeah, this is another one that doesn't make sense in 2D, but a lot of sense in 3D. That was taken yesterday.
Nice composition. Great light.
Yeah, you waited for the right time of day to take it with the light playing on the surface of these plants.
The center rear, that yellow dot is blossom, and I looked at it this morning, and there's 3 other blossoms popped up. So it changes day to day.
'Tis the season. I went to the Berkeley Rose Garden, was it last weekend or 2 weekends ago? 2 weekends ago. No, last weekend. There was a single blossom in the whole garden. I was there just a week or two too early. And then finally from Oleg is steamy roadside vegetation at Ensenada, Chile.
Yeah, I didn't realize it until it's not a very good picture, but I remembered it and I thought it was beautiful. Again, it doesn't make sense in 2D.
Right. Well, that's what tonight's slideshow is all about.
Oh, by the way, it looks like I'm using that fast frame. It takes about 30 seconds to make the picture.
What is this?
Get the frame, the white frame for the
Oh,
picture.
right. Are you using the
It's
Stereo Photo Maker frame tool?
no, I'm using just a. I should have written it down. Maybe next time I'll show you the process.
Yeah.
What you do is you play with the darn, what do you call it? I have to write it down to explain it, but it's very quick.
If you want to share it next month or any time, we'll set some time aside. And
Yeah, I'll do it. It's so easy to do, and you can change the color of it very easily.
Is this a Photoshop tool?
No, it's it's done in Photoshop. What you do is you increase. Darn it. It's. I have to write this down to explain it.
sure.
What
Yeah, we
you
won't
do
put
is
you on the spot.
what do you call it when? Well, forget it. My brain don't work.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to show when I was doing the demo, but Affinity has a border feature, and you can change the color of the border and the thickness of the border. And I think you can change the curvature of the edge for the border. In Affinity, I don't know where, if you're not doing this in Photoshop and you're not doing it in the Stereo Photo Maker, I don't know, where you're doing it. You're doing it, it's a post-production process, correct? It's after you take the picture.
It looks like a bevel effect.
Well, it looks like 1 or 2 pixels. I don't think there's enough to tell if it's a bevel or not, but yeah, it could be.
Because it seems to only be on the bottom and the left edges, so it sort of suggests like an inset where the light is only catching on those two edges.
For that, I would recommend a thicker border.
Yeah, but it still creates an effect.
Yeah, Oleg, take some notes. I don't know if it's possible for you at our next meeting to share your screen to show us how you do it, or if you just want to describe it. Either way is fine, but we'd like to see your technique, definitely. All right, thank you, Oleg. Great examples. Let's see. Melinda, you're up next. We've got 4 by you. The first image by you for tonight is bush number 2.
Yeah, so this was on the same day as the my first mighty bush image, and it's this was an even bigger bush. This was a big wave slamming into the marina jetty and shooting straight up, and this one I'm shooting straight into the mess that's being flung up, and I'm pretty close to it too, but I'm not getting drenched. It's mostly just going straight up. And so this one really shows some of the interesting internal detail of the splashing. I made it black and white because it had almost no color in it naturally. And what else? Definitely seems to be one of those images that kind of only works in 3D, which is what made me think to go look at those images again.
It's gorgeous.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, really details these individual drops of water that get kind of lost in the 2D version, but are so distinct in 3D.
Love it, like little seahorses in there, little animals.
That's what I've been thinking about a lot when I've been working on these images, like all these single-celled images, single-celled organisms. There's every one of those drops has hundreds at least, I'm sure, of little critters, and their lives are so short that in the few seconds that they're living in a tiny drop, it's sort of like their whole world. It would probably be like a week feels like to us. It's their home for a while until it merges back with the rest of the ocean. It's different time scales and size scales. So I've actually been thinking about those little critters a lot.
Yeah, this is like it's like a little solar system or a galaxy here. Each of these drops can be a little world.
Yeah, exactly. So it lasts a long time or a short time, depending on how you look at it. But they're definitely individual worlds with inhabitants.
Yeah, there's a science fiction story in this one somewhere.
There's also a scary face in the upper left. If you put it in pseudo, it pops out looks a little like a hockey mask.
Here, I'll put this one in pseudo. I can do that. Just remind me to switch it back. Sometimes I forget. I'll do it on all of our streams. It'll take a few seconds to catch up on the YouTube and Twitch streams, but I can kind of see it. It does look like a mask, an inverted mask in the regular version. Oh, there we go. Yeah. I do see that face more distinctly in the pseudo version.
I like the pseudo version better.
Oleg, would you move it behind the window or would you keep it where it is?
Let's see. It looks like it's still on. It's not in front of the window in pseudo.
It's just a little bit, just by the nature of
Yeah,
how it was.
Yeah, you could pull it all back. It's yeah, that would make it a really pure abstract.
I like the original.
In the original view, then you can
Yeah,
kind of tell what you're looking at.
Yeah, still
I
abstract.
prefer the original. I prefer the original too.
Yeah. And I just love those fantasy animals. Looks like a dog and a horse or some whimsical Paul Clay drawing
I can see that too.
right
Yeah.
in the center. I can't not.
Yeah.
It's just so.
Yeah, looks like a balloon animal or something.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Well, for the pseudo version, you could also introduce some color and make it even more abstract, really separate it from its source.
Go for it.
It has the potential of being a creative, but as it stands on its own, it's a fantastic stereo photo. Just, incredible synchronization and sharpness and exposure. This was your red hydrogen one, I presume?
Yes.
Yeah, very
What's the shutter speed on that?
I don't know, but I think. Oh, shutter speed. I think is. I think was 1,000.
Oh, that explains the sharpness. See?
Yeah, and the synchronization is kind of lucky. I mean, it's a lot to expect from these cameras, but it does seem to synchronize really well.
Oh, it's beautiful. And the layers, all the droplets in space, just gorgeous.
Yeah, great
Thank you.
example of mergers.
Yeah, I was happy with the image quality too. I was able to get this much contrast without blowing out the whites and stuff.
I'm seeing one little itsy bitsy nitpick is that there's a bright white droplet or spot in the lower left, not in the far corner, but just there's a circular drop at the bottom, and if you go straight up from that, it's the brightest and whitest element in the shot. It's a little distracting for me.
Yeah, I see it. Yeah, I already took out 10 or 15 of those kinds of things and then just stopped.
Yeah, that's the only one that distracts for me.
Yeah, I bet if you spot that out and you keep looking, then you'll find something else that'll bother you.
Yeah,
It's
doesn't. I mean, I see the others that are a little bright, but that's the one that kind of spoke to me.
at least that one is in both eyes, which is probably why I didn't touch it. But there were a lot of others that there were spots that were that bright, but only visible in one eye.
Very nice. Thank you, Melinda.
Thank you.
Let's take a look at your second photo for tonight. The title is Choose Me.
Yeah, this is good if you look at the only in 2D first for a while, because without 3D it's just nothing. But to me, in 3D, there's a whole little story going on with these bumblebees. Mm-hmm.
I think I can show these in 2D. Well, I better not risk it.
Yeah,
I'll just
don't bother.
ask that we
People can
close
cover one eye
eye.
or whatever. It's I know there is a viewing mode, but it's not worth trying to change it.
Yeah, and but I do encourage everyone to see what Melinda is describing. Do look at this with just one of the views, or close one eye, depending on how you're viewing the stereo. The stereo adds tremendously to this photo.
There is absolutely no bumblebee there without.
Yeah, it's true. And he's disguised with a little yellow hat, the same color as the flowers.
Yeah, it's almost like it's disguised in 2D, like it's some sort of cryptography or something.
And to me, it looks like the flowers are sort of leaning towards it. But I guess, it was probably just buzzing around trying to decide where to go next. And that just makes me think of the whole reason for the pollinators and flowers and stuff in the first place. I think it was also helpful that I got him right in front of a flower instead of a greenery. So it stands out a lot better.
You took this recently, I presume?
No, actually, this was several months ago.
Oh, really? Okay. So I
Yeah.
was going to say, well, you could only take a photo like this in the spring when the flowers are blooming and the bees are buzzing, but obviously that's not true.
Well, it's probably about a year ago.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
Well, you saved it for the perfect night.
I took a bunch that day. Some of there were useful elements, but they weren't really useful enough. I thought, at least at the time. And this time I just sort of scrolled through my folders of potential images, just looking for busy images, and this one popped out.
Yeah. It called out to you. It's the right one to show.
Yeah, this reminds me of one of Jack's, especially when he would, do a composite and cut out the bee or the insect and put it in exactly the right place. That's what I'm marveling at. The position of the bee is exactly where you want it to be, to the point where it's like, whoa, you must have positioned it in Photoshop, because it's just perfectly placed to show up, silhouetted against the light, the petals of the flower.
Thanks. I think the cropping that I did helped a lot in that regard, because there's sort of like there's a group of flowers that are pretty much concentrated in the middle of the image that are kind of all working together that way. So it was a little puzzle finding the right cropping that would create a kind of dynamic like that. So while I didn't place the bee where I wanted it, cropping gave me a lot of control over how the bee relates to the rest of the flowers. There's another bee in the back too on the right. It's a little harder to see.
The light's a bit harsh, but of course, if it was later in the day, the bees might not be out, so probably have to take one over the other. Very nice. Excellent example. Next from Melinda is Sausalito Views.
Yeah, so this was fun. You saw last time I submitted an image where I was coming out of a hike down a hill and showed some steep driveways. And the other times that I've been there, I had always driven sort of right up to that trailhead. And but this time I had started from down below on the main road and only came out at that trailhead, and then I had to walk a long way down. I think it's called Edwards Boulevard, um, and it's very steep and narrow, and in the car I never would have noticed these views, but walking down the street, there were a number of places where I could see between the buildings and see this nice hillside and all the houses and things. And so I encourage people to go there and check that out. If you walk the length of Edwards there, it's you'll see some neat stuff. I mean, all different variations of the same picture. There's a fairly narrow range of directions that you can see, but for a quarter mile down this street, you can get a number of different views, and yeah, I really liked this. I think that in 2D, you see it's all trees and houses. It's just a jumble, or looks like one whole hillside of trees and houses. But in 3D, you can all of a sudden see that there's this one very definite ridge in the middle ground, with a couple of interesting houses and two very prominent trees. And even the background houses, it's hard to see, but there's depth going all the way back. I took these with my DSLR, and it's really kind of fun to look around deeper and deeper into the image.
Yeah, the 2D version, it looks like one hill. It's impossible to distinguish between the two. It's so obvious in this nice hyper stereo that you're showing us.
And I think the stereo base is about 2 feet.
Shot with your DSLR, you said?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Most of the shots I took here were like through an entry gate or something like that, so I could brace the camera against the gate.
Is that a bird above the orange roofs, but in front of the tree?
I don't remember any birds. So the orange, the Spanish tiles, you're saying, of that multi-level house?
Yes.
I don't see a bird.
It's just a little gray smudge, just about in the upper third of that tree.
Upper third of that.
Of the tree that's behind the house with the yellow roof, or with the orange roof.
I think it's just a gap in the tree, and there's a little bit of retinal rivalry because of the separation looking through that gap. If I'm seeing
That's
the
what I
same
was
thing.
thinking as well, but it looks so forward of the tree. I'm just wondering. I know.
Well, if it's forward,
birds,
it would only be in one eye because I'm sure it was at least 5 seconds between shots. Oh, I think I know where you're looking now. There's
Yeah, I see it. I think Matt's
I
right.
think
I think it's a hole in a gap in the leaves, and it just has that effect of looking like it's coming towards you.
yeah, it's the hole is large in one eye and small in the other, and there's a bit of roof, I think, in the far distance. So it's
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
I should probably try to paint that out. That's what I usually do. Like I just pick one of those dark green colors from the tree and just paint over the whole
Wouldn't be a
bit of
bad
roof
idea.
that's visible.
If I was cropping this picture, I would crop the sky almost out. There's no information in it. So if you take out the sky, then you could concentrate better on the middle of the picture where all the action is.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea, especially because of the cropping at the bottom, which is actually extremely tight. So it would be more consistent if the top was also somewhat tight.
Sometimes you need a little breathing space. I don't think it's a good idea to crop it too tight just because there's no information. I mean, I've seen lots of really nice compositions that have the whole, like the right third of it is nothing but like white space. And it just works because it sort of forces your eye over to where the information is. I don't know that that rule applies all the time. I kind of like that amount of like actually I would crop it at the bottom, um, just because you've got plenty of houses and lots of depth. You probably don't need those few that the bottoms of the houses are cut off. But I like this picture. I don't think you need to do much more to it.
No, but I think I like the suggestion. Seems like a
Okay.
good idea for this one anyway.
And Linda, were you making a false frame on this? It looks like the left view sort of extends into the border of the right view.
Yes.
Okay. I'm not sure if it
So
really works on my screen. Maybe you need to give it a little bit more space in the right view, because it kind of gets clipped in the right view, but it extends through the left view.
I mean the reason that I put that bar there was because in the left view there was a whole strip of trees and houses and stuff that you couldn't see in the right view. So I wanted to mask that out, and I did preserve the that bit of roof in the extreme lower right, because it was much closer than the houses that were causing the problems on the right edge. I don't know if it was needed or is making it worse. It just it seemed to make it less busy or difficult.
I don't think it's hurting anything, but I'm not really getting any sort of like a through the window effect for that little corner, if that's what you were after.
No, it's not through the window. It's just it's in front of the border, which is well behind the window.
Well, I think this one would do really well in an international exhibition for a landscape or cityscape theme, and those are pretty common.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I guess I missed my chance with Southern Cross. I think they were doing a scapes special.
They did do scapes, yes. I think actually maybe one of mine was selected. Southern Cross is a pretty tough competition. I never do as well as I do in others. But hey, there are more coming up. and Southern Cross will be back for 2026.
I'm going to have to sign off. I had one comment about this photo.
Yeah.
Melinda, I really like it. The only comment I would have is that it looks like it's kind of artificially flattened as far as contrast and maybe chroma. It may be the thing of you shooting more pointed toward the sun and the camera tricking itself into thinking it's got a good exposure. But, given that, it comes out really good, but on my display, which isn't calibrated because I'm using my laptop, it looks like it's not quite as full as far as grayscale or what you would call gradation. And if you made it tweaked a little in Photoshop, I think it would be a little bit more like, to bring down the mids a little bit so it has more, it's darker in the darks and leaving the light spots of where they are. But that's just me. But you may, next time you're doing this kind of stuff, you may want to play around with it a little more in Photoshop and see if you can get it to sort of pop more. It doesn't, it looks sharp, but contrast wise, it looks like it could handle a little bit more contrast.
Yeah, thanks. I generally do that with curves, but at least with all the tools that I'm used to using, this was the best that I could do. I think what is mostly happening is that this is with a pretty long lens. So even though it was a pretty clear day, there's a certain amount of unavoidable haze.
Well, yeah, it's
and levels is good for cutting through that. Yeah.
I invested a bunch of money in polarizers to try to neutralize that effect.
I should
try that.
That's a great idea. Yeah, I haven't fooled with
but they're not
filters at
cheap.
all.
I mean, some of the lenses I have, the polarizer costs almost as much as the lens.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, but yeah, give it a try. I don't know what the size is, but if you're going to buy a polarizer, make sure it's a good one, like a Hoya or B&W or something like that. Because on a telephoto, if you buy something that's not top quality, you're just going to impact the resolution, and it's going to kind of neutralize the effect of being able to filter out unneeded light. So if you buy one, buy a good one. And don't let
I probably wouldn't spend it. I'd probably get a cheap one first just to see if it's, giving me a new important control, and then if it's worth it, then I might get a more expensive one. Now, what is the control in Photoshop that you use?
I use curves, but I mostly use levels. Because
I use them both. You just said something about chroma. I didn't know what.
Yeah, well, chroma is basically hue and saturation gives you the amount of color level, and sometimes when you work levels and or curves too much, you might find the saturation either getting exaggerated or your colors getting muted. So you have to kind of, if you end up making, especially like more than just a slight adjustment, you might see your color drop off, in which case you have to go to saturation and tweak it up a little bit to get back to where you were. That's what I found for doing my stuff.
Okay, that makes sense. And there's some fine control within levels that I use often as well.
There's low, mid, and high.
Yeah, so I usually look for whatever little trailing edges that I can chop off for each color channel, and then if I really want to take close control, then I adjust the mids, either up or down.
Yeah, the mids give you the most sort of dramatic effect, but it's really easy to overdrive your levels to the point where it just starts to gray out. It's something you have to use carefully, because otherwise you lose your blacks and it just turns gray on you, and you go, "Oh, that sucks."
Yeah. But I really like the idea of polarizing filters. I definitely want to fool with that.
Okay, I'm going to sign off, you guys. I'll catch you next month, and
Thank you
I'll
so
probably end
much,
up joining
Brian,
up.
for dropping by.
Okay.
Thank you for your excellent feedback. We look forward to seeing you next month. Have a good
All
one.
right, bye.
That was excellent advice. Yeah. All right. Thank you, Melinda. We have one more to enjoy by you. I'll pull it up right now. And the title of Melinda's fourth stereo photo for tonight is White Willow.
So yeah, this is a willow at the House of Fine Arts, and yeah, springtime. Things are starting to wake up, and this willow is getting little buds all up and down the tendrils, and it's great light, beautiful blue sky. So just a very natural study in form and color. And I guess in 2D, it's clear enough that you're looking at a willow. So it's maybe not super surprising what the stereo adds to it, but it definitely does pop, at least into a 3D composition. And about the only thing I touched in the interior of the image was to clone out a bit of the bit on the upper left, which was where there were some little twigs that were reaching up to the border. So I just sort of painted those out. But that's about it.
Yeah, there's
no other heroic effort involved.
There's a lot of fine detail that's revealed in the stereo version of this photo. It almost looks sort of unsharp or soft, or maybe even out of focus in the 2D version, some of these very thin branches, but they all kind of make sense to me in the 3D.
You know, some of them probably are out of focus. This was also with the DSLR. Oh, and there was a bit of wind too, so I'm zooming in and looking around. Some of the branches are at some strange angles.
I would prefer if the leaves weren't leaning backwards at the top, towards the top. If
sounds like it's going to be a bona fide disaster. It's a sexually confusing experience.
If all the trees were in the same plane.
The upper left?
I'm talking overall. Overall, the picture seems to be leaning backwards.
Yeah, I guess it's just the verticals.
Yeah, it's the way you're looking at it. But the picture would be more effective if all of the main branches were in the same plane.
Yeah, I'd have to change the perspective because it's I'm shooting up at a pretty steep angle.
Yeah, that's why they're leaning.
Yeah, there's no other place to stand to get the shot you want. Plus, it would put buildings in the background, so it's not really what I wanted. But it might be fun to play with the verticals.
Melinda, you mean you don't go out and carry a 12-foot ladder on your trip?
Well, I would love to carry a drone because the shots of Sausalito really got me wanting to shoot a bunch of related images, but and I spent a fair amount of time the last couple of days in Google Earth looking for some other vantage points, and I may have found some that are sort of like from the background looking back toward where I shot that picture from. But it's very clear that the houses were sited such that all those vantage points were taken up by the houses, and that there's almost nothing you can see from the road across the this valley. So it's a number of times I was thinking, oh my God, I need a drone. I could get all the composition, make all the compositions that I want without any trouble. Maybe someday.
Well, a compromise is Jay Kusnet's pole solution. He had rigged his Fuji W3 to, I think, a 12-foot painter's pole, and he rigged a shutter mechanism. I forget exactly how he did that, and I think he was running a flash also. He gave us a presentation about it. And I think there are some regulations against flying drones in neighborhoods, but there aren't any regulations about walking around with a big, tall painter's pole. So it's an option.
Yeah, and I wouldn't worry too much about the drones. I mean, yeah, you just get your shots and get out. Just don't bother people too much. I think it'll be fine.
Just be able to get to your car fast enough.
The drones have an advantage in that you can see the viewfinder. Jay's things you had to kind of guess what you were shooting. I don't think he had a way to monitor what the camera was seeing.
Yeah, so the drones do have first-person view features. So the drone would make it a lot easier to get exactly what I wanted. But a pole to get over some of those fences and stuff would definitely be a nice compromise.
It's a budget drone.
Exactly.
A pole. Well, thank you, Melinda. It's excellent.
Thank you.
Excellent slideshow tonight. We're not done yet. We've got 4 more by me, and then we'll do our poll. And then we're not going to be done yet. Roberto has been waiting patiently. He has a presentation for us. He's going to tell us about a 3D video that he shot. I'm not going to be able to show it, but I am going to share the link. It is posted on YouTube in half-width side-by-side 3D. But I am getting ahead of myself. Let's take a look at my 4 photos. I took most of these in Golden Gate Park, specifically for this special subject. The title of this is Australian Tea Tree. And of course, these are all over Golden Gate Park. I read that they're actually an invasive species, but they do grow these sort of twisting, interesting shapes. And this one just sort of went on, and I thought it was a good subject for tonight. In 2D, it looks to me just like a bunch of branches, but in 3D, you can see it really goes way back, sort of like a natural tunnel, at least through that archway made of the branches or the trunk.
Yeah, it's a great view. Didn't you submit some similar images like years and years ago?
I know I have submitted a sort of a close-up of one of these Australian tea trees in Golden Gate Park.
Yeah, that's what I remember.
It was I wasn't that effective. I think I shot it from a less interesting angle. I was using my red hydrogen one, so it didn't have a whole lot of depth. And I did submit that one in black and white. And I think this subject works really well in black and white. I just kept it in color in this case. But yeah, they're all over Golden Gate Park. It's funny how you don't really notice these things until you have a mergers special subject to take some photos for.
When did you take this?
I took
This
this
spring?
on Sunday, 2 days ago.
Yeah, just all the green hills and everything. It's beautiful right now out there.
It is, yeah. You know, I had kind of a hard time with this subject. I took a lot of photos that I just threw away. I was shooting a lot of cherry blossoms and a lot of blooming plants and trees, but they were just so mundane, both in 2D and in 3D. They were technically they worked, but nothing that got me excited. And sort of in desperation, I went out to Golden Gate Park and found everything I needed plus more. I'll be subjecting you to many more of these Australian tea trees in the coming months.
Oh, good. Yeah, it's a great route line that you found there.
Yeah, and I mean, as I said, they're all over the park.
Oh yeah.
I was on my way to the botanical gardens, but actually, these were more interesting than most of the plants that I saw there. And moving on to my next one, this is, I don't know the scientific name of this tree, but the plaque on it said it's a New Zealand Christmas tree, and that's what I've titled this. And this has these kind of hanging branches. They're almost like threads. They're so thin, and they're kind of entwined around each other. And I was very happy with this one in that it really doesn't make a lot of sense in 2D. In 3D, you can see that there is some form there, and I think I can even get a sense that it's a tree in 3D.
Yeah, it's very faithful to the subject.
And this photo and the last photo I took with my twin Sony cameras. And this one in particular, it was actually very dark. I was in a lot of shade, and I would have benefited from a tripod. But I was able to crank up the ISO to something like 4,000 or something. And that's not even the highest ISO setting on these cameras. And I think it did a pretty good job. There's some noise in here, but you can't really see it because there's so much detail in the photo.
I love it.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. That is the New Zealand Christmas tree. My third photo I took actually with my Hydrogen 1. The title is Palm Fronds, and that's exactly what it is. And I think it's another good example, similar to the one I just showed. This one in 2D, you can tell what they are. I just think it's a better photo in 3D.
What camera did you say that you used?
For this photo, I used my Hydrogen 1. Melinda shoots with the Hydrogen 1 quite a bit, and it's a narrow base smartphone stereo camera. Very high quality one with a very nice auto stereo display. No longer manufactured, but it's you can still buy a secondhand one without too much trouble.
Is the one that had the red logo that they build these cameras, professional
That's
cameras?
precisely the camera. Yeah, I'll show it at the end of the slideshow. It's an incredibly well built device, and I guess it's sort of unfortunate that it has such a narrow base, although, as Melinda has proven, it's still a very capable stereo camera. And I'm using mine more and more. I bring it with me on my shoots just in case there's a subject, a more close-up, maybe not a macro subject, but something that's a little closer that would really benefit from that narrow base.
Nice, thank you.
And I'm going to show one more photo. I didn't take this photo, so please don't select it in our poll. And I will explain what we're looking at here. In fact, I have some notes. This photo was taken in 2020. I think it's a great example, a very extreme example of mergers, and it's the kind of merger that we would never be able to experience ourselves just looking at the night sky. The title is 4 Billion Mile Hyper. This was photographed by NASA's New Horizons space probe en route to Pluto in April 2020. New Horizons is a NASA mission to study the dwarf planet Pluto, its moons, and other objects in the Kuiper Belt, and it flew by Pluto a number of years ago. The star, and that is a star, this is a star field, the star that we're seeing through the window is Proxima Centauri. One view was taken from Earth, the other from the space probe. I'm not sure which is which, but that's how this extreme hyper was made. It's the largest stereo base in history. This image was actually put together by Brian May for NASA. NASA posted it and another photo on their website. And I will put a link to the article and the explanation of how it was made in the chat. I've been sitting on this for a couple of years, not really sure what to do with it. And then I realized this is the opportunity because you don't really get any sense of all of depth in star fields viewed with our eyes from the surface of our planet.
I mean, the distance to the stars is almost unfathomable. People really underestimate just how far it is. It's amazing that we can literally see any parallax at all at that distance.
Yeah, it's historic, and there are other stars in this image are also offset a bit in depth, but not to the degree of Proxima Centauri.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Photo.
Well, Alpha Centauri should be nearby too.
Yeah, I think it had to do with the direction of the probe's travel and the position of the Earthbound observatory. But as I said, also there's on the website that I posted in the chat, there's another example of another star that they photographed in this same manner as a part of this same experiment. So let's not select this one in our poll, which is coming up next, because technically I didn't make it. I just like it quite a bit.
We can try to take a picture like this because some telescopes here on Earth, and they take parallax, one on June and then the other on December from the same star. and then you have a little bit of parallax.
Interesting. Yeah, I've never seen that. It makes sense.
I don't think you can see it. I think it's enough to measure. So it's useful. It's a useful observation, but I don't think you can. I don't think it'll give you any sort of visual stereo effect. It's just too narrow a base.
We could try.
You can certainly try it, but the New Horizons probe I think is way outside of Earth's orbit.
All right, that is our slideshow. We're not done. We are going to stick around for Roberto's video, but first we're going to make our selections in our poll, and I'm going to run through the slideshow again real quick, just spending a few moments on each slide. I'll say the title and the maker. You can make your selections now or during or after this little slideshow. If you're at a computer and if you can participate, there's a link there. You can also use your smartphone or tablet for the same effect. And there's a QR code there that might make that more convenient for you. And I'll show this slide after rerunning the slideshow again, in case you missed it. And then we'll spend a minute or two to make our selections. But let me go through these real quick. Let me set myself up here. And again, there's a bit of a delay on the YouTube and Twitch streams, but it'll catch up, so bear with me. We are looking at SF Rally by Steve, Starburst by Steve, Tribute to Mexico by Steve, Weapons by Steve, Larkspur Ferry Terminal Black and White by Bob. Also, Larkspur Ferry Terminal by Bob. Ancient 3D Equipment in My Living Room by Oleg. Fence at Shipyard north of Brazos, California by Oleg. Spring Arrives at My Backyard by Oleg. Steamy Roadside Vegetation at Ensenada, Chile by Oleg. Bush 2 by Melinda. Choose Me by Melinda. Sausalito Views by Melinda. White Willow by Melinda. Australian Tea Tree by Matt. New Zealand Christmas Tree by Matt. Palm Fronds by Matt. And we'll skip this one. The title is 4 Billion Mile Hyper by NASA and Dr. Sir Brian May. All right. Let's make our selections. I actually need to get up and grab my phone. It's on my charger. I'll be right back. And we will take a look at the results in just a minute or two. while we're voting. Give everyone another minute or two. Oleg, before I forget, I want to ask you if your email is working. I sent you an email, but I'm not sure if you got it. I just sent it, I think, yesterday or today.
I didn't see it.
Okay. Well, I wanted to ask if I could use some of your photos in our upcoming Andrew J. Russell presentation at the Internet Archive. I recall you actually went on location and did some before and after photos of how the location has changed. And I just wanted your permission to show those as a part of that slideshow on the 23rd.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay. I'm sure I have them in my archive, but I wanted to check with you also in case there were any others that you wanted to show or any that you wouldn't want me to show.
Show whatever you want. One that I is kind of informative is there's one that the photographer thought was no good, and he scraped it.
Right, right.
And I restored that.
That's
so
right.
So if you can show a before and after of that.
Well, I am definitely going to be showing the before of that just to show what we were up against in restoring those. So I will do that before and after, definitely. Thank you, Oleg. That's I just wanted to confirm it was okay with you.
No problem.
Great. I'll follow up, of course, with an email with the details. But before then, does anyone need any more time making their selections? Let's go ahead and take a look at the results. I'm going to share my screen again here. Of course, with such a small number of people making selections, this is a very scientific approach. But we can see that Melinda's Bush 2 was our clear favorite tonight. And it was an excellent photo, any way you look at it. And Steve, your tribute to Mexico, we can say that you and I tied for runner-up, given the number of images that got one vote. Well done. And thank you for your votes for my New Zealand Christmas tree. All right. Wow, and we're actually not over. We'll get here almost on time. I want to thank Roberto for sticking around for the whole meeting. I hope you enjoyed the slideshow tonight, Roberto.
A lot.
Roberto has. Oh, and I see that there's also a note from Mike in the chat. And, oh, Mike, is this a stereo photo by you?
Yes, it's an old snapshot that I probably would have submitted it if I had remembered, but my reminders only come up 2 hours before the show, not a week before the show. So
well, why don't you submit it for our next meeting in May, which is just like 2 or 3 weeks away?
I'll do that.
Yeah, because we definitely like to see it, and that way we can, give it fair time.
You'll give it the
tear you down.
Miserable of shot it is, and you'll tear it up, and I just, if I just avoid the embarrassment.
No, nothing embarrassing about it. We're very supportive.
I'll bring it next month.
So, getting back to Roberto, thank you, Mike, and thank you, Roberto. Roberto has a 3D video to share He's going to tell us a little bit about how he made it and the cameras that he used. Now, I've tried to show video on our streaming meetings before, and it hasn't quite worked out. The good news is that I have a new computer. I'm not using it for tonight's meeting, but it's much more powerful. So I think moving forward, we'll actually be able to stream video. For now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a link in the chat to the YouTube video. It's a half-width side-by-side video that Roberto has made. And you can watch it as Roberto describes what he's created. Or you can, of course, watch it on your own time after the meeting on your own 3D device. And I have watched it. And Roberto, tell us how you made it, where you made it, and tell us about the cameras that you used to make this video.
Well, yes, I have been experimenting with this. Well, I found I have an Action 2, a DJI Action 2 cam. This is a really small action cam with my bike rides here in Mexico City, because when you get hit by a car, well, you have a record, at least for in case you need it. But I found another cheap one, and I bought a second one. And I was thinking, oh, why I don't put this together and generate a 3D video. So I have been doing these experiments. I 3D printed a holder for both of the cameras that hold both of the cameras. And I put it on my stabilizer, and it worked well. Well, I have to put a little weight on the other side of the stabilizer, so it doesn't fall on another side because it's a little bit heavy for my small stabilizer. And I took a video of I have here a little garden close to my house, and I did an experiment. And I don't know if you remember these Google cardboards that used to exist, I don't know, many years ago from Google.
Oh, sure.
And I was going to do this video, and the wide angle view of the camera maybe doesn't work with a regular stereographic technique, because maybe we need like a 75 millimeters it works like actually works for the depth. But with this visor, the wide angle, the lens that generate, I saw that it works like maybe not for far objects, or maybe with close objects, like maybe you have someone in about 2 or 3 meters, and you can feel the depth. Also, I have these headphones that have a microphone on top of the headphone, and it generates a similar audio of a binaural sound. So I mix both systems, like trying to make a totally immersive video, like a 3D video and an immersive sound, trying to generate like you can go through the event. And well, talking about the event was a taco competition here in Mexico, that many taquerias went to this place in Mexico that it's Monumento a la Revolución. And here they took their stuff that they need to cook the tacos, and everyone was voting. Like here, voting for photos. There was here we were voting for tacos. And it was really interesting, because you have all this, maybe you have the same beef taco, well, the name of the taco, but it's a totally different way to cook it, so you can compare it side to side and feel the difference of the chef or of the cooker of the taco. And it's maybe one step closer to the totally immersive sensitive experience. Could be like smell, but it's not possible right now. and it was fun. I took it. This was on Saturday, and it was really fast to edit. Maybe I have to work a little bit with the parallax, but in general, it was fun to do this experiment.
Now I've put a link to the cameras, the DJI Action Camera 2 that you've used, and these are small cameras. These are little, they're almost little cubes.
Yep.
And
yes,
you 3D printed a mount for them.
Yes, let me show. I have here the link. I believe I have it on Instagram, and let me show it. Where did I put it? I believe here. No, I don't have it here. Where did I put it? I posted somewhere. No. I believe no. I don't remember where did I post it. Nope. I will send it to you.
Yeah.
I know where I have this old site here in Facebook. On Facebook, groups. I believe here. Here it is. Okay, I will share it. Share. Copy link. Here it is. Chat. I printed 2 versions of it. One is one camera close to the other one for a really close view, like something like even macro, and then another side to side, but with the distance of the eyes, like 75 millimeters or 65 millimeters. I don't remember the number. And then I use in different occasion. Maybe if it's going to be a really close event, I use the closer configuration. And if I'm going to be like a little bit wider, like the taco event, I use this one, the one that you are showing to us.
Okay. And this you've mounted on a stabilizer, I see. That's
yes, because the camera have a really good stabilizer, but sometimes if you are using it in automatic, one camera stabilizes in an axis and the other to another axis, so it is like you are doing like, I don't know, crossing your eyes, and it's a little bit dizzy. So I mounted on the stabilizer, and it flows easier without the stabilizer activated in the camera.
It works really well. I've got it running on the YouTube video that you linked. Looks really good. What's your stereo separation?
Here it's the Taco Immersive. It is 65 millimeters. I think it's the one that similar to the Fujifilm, the W3.
That's good. I like the wide angle lens too. That works really well.
Actually, I found that it works better with this visor, the Google Cardboard, because the wide angle makes it so extreme the point of view. So the Google Cardboard, it's like an Oculus view, and if you use any other visor, like a little bit not that extreme, the lens that make the immersive point of view, it doesn't have this parallax difference between both, because you are using a really wide angle lens. But here with the cardboard, I believe it's the better experience. And well, also if you use the headphones, you can hear the people crossing around you.
Now, how are you synchronizing the video? You're not synchronizing the cameras, but I'm guessing you're doing that in software?
Yes, I process the video on DaVinci Resolve, and with the audio, I synchronize both videos. And it depends of the the video if it's going to be. I am planning to record a video of here in Mexico. We have a really huge library that maybe makes sense to film it in 3D, because this has many layers and it's have this transparency stuff that it could work with this theme from today, but they are really strict about filming inside the library, so I have to ask for permission. So and tell them what I am going to do. So maybe next time I will give you some photos and videos of this library that you can experience with me.
That would be great. And hopefully next time I will be running these meetings from a computer that's actually capable of streaming full motion video, which I actually have the computer. I just am not using it tonight.
Roberto, how do you get the vertical framing? I mean, are you able to adjust the aspect ratio on the camera, or did you turn it sideways, or what's going on there?
Actually, I film it on the aspect ratio. It's 4:3. The old, no, it's not
square
16. It's more like square, because I'm not going to use the whole view. So, but I am experimenting. This is the first. Well, it was actually, this was the third time that I use it. I want to film some with the full wide angle. Well, yes, 16:9 format, but I don't know. My W3 filmed in 3D, but I don't know how to export to that format right now. I can send it through DaVinci, but I don't know how to do it right now.
You know what? I don't know. In a couple meetings ago, I discovered you can import the W3 videos into DaVinci Resolve. I don't know if you could always do it, because I remember trying it. It does an odd thing. It puts the two, one right after the other, and then you have to do some. Once it's in DaVinci, you have control over it. You can play with it. But I'm trying to remember. I think it actually compresses it, so it takes up the same amount of time, but the left view and then is followed by the right view, and then you can extend it. I think I did something. It's been a couple months now since I played with it, but I was able to take it in to DaVinci.
Okay, sounds interesting. I have this video. Maybe I also maybe taking advantage of Matt's new computer. And I have this really nice video that I took in LAX airport. I believe it was 2 years ago. I put the camera on these walking bands and took it the video of filming the outside, and it was a really interesting point of view. And well, I will try it in that video with DaVinci and see how it works, and maybe it will give me a clue about how can I export the video for maybe that YouTube can interpret it like a 3D video and give the viewer the option to see it in 3D.
That's a great plan. Yeah, let's do that. And I will try for next month's meeting. I am sure I'll have this new computer up and running. I'm already using it to edit my photos. I just didn't want to risk experimenting with it running our meeting tonight after doing some more tests. But maybe for our next meeting, I'll actually be able to run this video as well, so that everyone will be able to see it. Fingers crossed, we'll give that a try. Thank you, Roberto, for sharing that. And it looks like it was a great event also. Just a great event to photograph and to video, particularly in 3D.
Yes, and the smell and flavor, everything. It was a full experience.
Yeah. Sight, sound, smells, flavors.
Yeah, taste. Yes.
Perfect day.
Thank you, Matt.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. We're only 15 minutes over tonight. Yes, Steve. Yes, you're muted.
I'm just waving goodbye.
Oh, waving goodbye. Real
15
quick.
minutes is my cutoff. I'm going to have to go.
Yeah, we'll shut it down. I did want to show Roberto. Here's the Hydrogen one. You're probably familiar with it. Great phone. Camera was a phone.
Yes, I used to have the HTC 3D. Well, I have it somewhere.
Yeah, I saw that on the Facebook page also. And I'll tell you a quick story. Years ago when HTC released those Android cameras, I think those were Android 2 cameras, a representative came to one of our meetings and basically gave us the smartphones.
Wow.
That was nice. And I still have mine. HTC isn't really a player anymore, but they were looking for original content made with their phones. They had kind of a chicken and the egg situation where they wanted to show the 3D capabilities of the phone, but there just wasn't any 3D content. So they distributed these devices to camera clubs and other organizations. And I think they did use some of our photos, not so much in their marketing, but as the sort of photos that were included on the phone by default. So that was fun. All right, I'm not going to keep you up any later. I'm sorry, did you say something, Steve? Okay. I do want to say that our next meeting is May 6th, the first Tuesday of the month. It's our open division, so anything and everything goes. Please, you can get your photos to me until Monday, May 5th. I'll have a new computer, and I won't be so orange. I'm getting a new webcam, too. I'm getting all this stuff before the Trump tariffs take effect. So it's overdue anyway. And I will tell you to keep your eyes open for an email regarding the Andrew J. Russell presentation that I'll be giving at the Internet Archive on April 23rd. If you're in the neighborhood, please drop by. People would love to hear from you about how stereo photos are made. This is a presentation we've given many times, so if you've already seen it, don't feel obligated to show up. It's the same stuff. And I will have a report for you about how that went and how our new 3D projector worked at that event, if it blew up and caught on fire or if it actually worked for the whole show. With that, I will wrap it up unless there are any other comments or questions before we go. All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for sticking around late. I will see you on May 6th. Good night, everyone.
Thanks,
Great
everyone.
slideshow tonight. Well done. Thank you.
Night.